During the 80s boom period in wrestling, tag teams were red hot. The WWE was home to some of the most memorable tag teams in the history of professional wrestling, from the Hart Foundation to the Rockers, the British Bulldogs to the underrated Rougeau brothers. There was a certain trust there that these tag teams could deliver consistent quality matches, something that the marquee main eventers could not always do. These days, it really is hard to believe that the WWE once had one of the best tag divisions in the world. A tag team that made their debut in the WWF in 1987 was Demolition. With their studded black leather outfits and their face paint, mixed with their intimidating size and aggressive style, they became a standout tag team in the World Wrestling Federation. And while yes, they were an answer to the extremely popular Road Warriors, Demolition managed to stand out on their own and become more than just Road Warrior wannabes. In this video, we will take a look at Demolition in the WWF. The Demolition that we all know was consisted of Bill Eadie as X and Barry Darsow as Smash. In the beginning, Randy Colley partnered with Eadie during the initial incarnation of the team. Colley was replaced by Barry Darsow after only a few matches as, according to Barry and Bill, Randy was too recognisable as one half of the Moondogs tag team and WWF wanted him to try a different gimmick. This is true, as you can hear fans chant Moondog as he entered the ring as Smash. Randy Colley would form a tag team known as the Shadows, but they were mainly used as enhancement guys and Randy ended up leaving the company. So Bill Eadie is Axe and Barry Darsow is Smash. We have our Demolition tag team set in stone for now. Demolition, in their original incarnation, was introduced to the world by Johnny Valiant, but the team ended up getting Mr. Fuji as their manager, who also wore some Demolition face paint as he stood at ringside for their matches. During their debut year, Demolition dominated the tag division, claiming victories over the likes of the Rougeau brothers, the Young Stallions, the Killer Bees and the Islanders. They were booked as aggressive, no-nonsense bad guys, and you just knew shit was going to go down when Demolition made their way to the ring. Their pay-per-view debut happened at Survivor Series 1987, where they were part of the 10-on-10 Survivor Series tag team match. Tito Santana and Rick Martel, better known together as Strikeforce, were the WWE Tag Team Champions leading into WrestleMania 4 in 1988. Two pretty boys who were booked as white meat babyfaces. Demolition, who would be getting a shot at the tag titles at WrestleMania 4, were the polar opposite. Demolition weren't into flashy moves and looking good for the crowd. They were at WrestleMania 4 to dominate their opponents, and dominate their opponents they did. Demolition captured their first tag titles at WrestleMania 4. Demolition continued the year dominating more tag teams, defeating the likes of the Hart Foundation, the British Bulldogs, and also having more matches with Strikeforce. The Powers of Pain, consisting of the Barbarian and the Warlord, made their way to the WWF later in the year, making it clear they wanted to take away Demolition's tag titles. At Survivor Series 1988, Mr. Fuji double-crossed Demolition when he decided to manage the Powers of Pain, which in turn turned Demolition babyface. Demolition successfully defended their tag belts at WrestleMania 5 against the Powers of Pain, a match that also saw Mr. Fuji take the Demolition decapitation. This match is noteworthy as Demolition on this day became the longest reigning WWF Tag Champions after breaking the 370-day reign held by the Valiant brothers. On May 12th that year, Demolition passed the 409-day reign held by the Fabulous Kangaroos in the old WWF, making them the longest holders of any tag title in the history of the WWF and the WWF. In total, Demolition held the titles for 467 days, a record which wouldn't be broken until 2016, when The New Day held the later versions of the tag belts for 483 days. Demolition finally dropped the tag titles to the Brainbusters in a 2 out of 3 falls match on the July 29th, 1989 edition of Saturday Night's Main Event. On the November 4th edition of Superstars, taped on October 2nd, Demolition would defeat the Brainbusters to regain the titles and begin their second tag title reign, but a few months later, Andre the Giant and Haku, better known as the Colossal Connection, defeated Demolition to win the gold. Demolition were now feuding with the Heenan family as they set their sights on winning back the tag titles. At WrestleMania 6, held at the Skydome in Toronto, Demolition did what they set out to do and won their belts back. This match is noteworthy too, as Andre didn't tag in for the whole duration of the match due to his worsening physical condition. Haku defended the tag belts on his own pretty much, and he didn't have much chance against Axe and Smash. Bill Eadie, who worked as Axe, was apparently suffering from his own health issues around this time. It's been reported that he developed an allergy to shellfish, which was quite serious. So serious that Bill himself said that it once caused his heart to completely stop. Worried what this could mean for one of his most successful tag teams, Vince McMahon decided to add another member to Demolition, thus giving Bill more limited time during in-ring competition. It's also been reported that Bill was going to take a backstage role within the company very soon, so it made sense to bring in someone else who could continue the Demolition tag team. Crush was brought in as the newest member of Demolition, making the team a trio who would work under the Freebird rule. What's more, Vince was in talks to sign the Road Warriors. While Demolition were brought in to be an answer to this very tag team years prior, Vince was now planning to bring the real deal into the WWF, so in Vince's mind, it made sense to turn Demolition heel once again in preparation for the debut of the Legion of Doom. Demolition lost their tag titles to the Hart Foundation at SummerSlam 1990. Smash and Crush started the match, but Axe added himself into the bout behind the referee's back. The Legion of Doom then interfered, snuffing out Demolition and allowing the Hart Foundation to win the gold. With the Legion of Doom now in the WWF, Demolition began losing popularity. It didn't help either that they were now booked as cheaters who needed to use the Freebird rule to gain unfair advantages. Along with this, the Legion of Doom were just unstoppable and insanely popular. It seemed Vince McMahon didn't really care that all this time was wasted building up Demolition, only for the Road Warriors to come in and completely take away that popularity once held by Axe and Smash. To make matters even worse, Demolition would frequently lose 6-man tag matches to the Legion of Doom and the Ultimate Warrior, another guy who was unstoppable as an insanely popular babyface. Eventually, Mr. Fuji would be back at Demolition's side as he also managed the Orient Express around this same time. This led to Demolition and the Orient Express attacking the Legion of Doom. Around the same time, Bill Eadie's backstage job that he was apparently being phased into didn't turn out quite what it should have been, and this ultimately led Bill, who portrayed Axe in Demolition, to leave the company. Quote Bill, "When it was first proposed, there were certain parameters, duties and pay scale. As time went on, the duties went down and so did the pay scale. When it was time, the proposal was totally different. I had the chance to go overseas, so I decided to turn down the WWF job offer. It was the best decision I could have made. People are still doing it to this day and they aren't happy. Life is too short." So Smash and Crush are the remaining members of Demolition, and to be honest, it just wasn't the same. They were booked frequently to lose to the likes of the Rockers and the Legion of Doom. It was quite sad to see, as at one point, just a few short years prior, they were totally dominant, steamrolling through their opponents as badass heels, but now they were getting jobbed out. Smash and Crush also done some work in the SWS promotion in Japan, where they had a little more success thanks to the gimmick going over well with Japanese audiences, but back in America, their aura was gone. It was soon decided that Demolition would be no more, as Crush took a leave of absence from the WWF, and Smash also left after losing a few singles matches while still using the same Demolition gimmick. Eventually, Crush would come back as the babyface Kona Crush, and Smash would become the Repo Man. Bill 80, who had worked as X, began using the name Axis the Destroyer in independent shows. He was joined by the original Smash, Randy Colley, and they added Richie Garland to the group, who worked as Blast, to form a new iteration of Demolition. This led to the WWF sending a cease and desist for using the name and gimmick. Time has not been very kind to Demolition. Their place in history and their overall contributions to 80s wrestling has been overshadowed and largely ignored, mainly due to the company focusing more of its attention on the Legion of Doom. They were featured as playable characters in the WWE 2K12 video game, and they were given mentions on TV as the New Day were closing in on becoming the longest reigning tag champs. But this has really been the height of any legacy WWE wants to acknowledge. At the time this video was uploaded, Demolition has not been inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.